Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We are chock full of good topics for today that I can't wait to get into. Some nice juicy ones. So I'll welcome you in, Nick Geddes. You're all fired up this morning from On3 Sports. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Wore my my Lightning garb down here because we finally got a win. Wore my UCF up here because we're fighting for ball eligibility this weekend in Lubbock. And,
Wow.
of course, we got the Bucs going against the 49ers. And I'm going on vacation simultaneously this entire weekend up in the mountains. So
where are you
I have
going?
the best view of all of y'all. I'm going to be tonight I'm going to be in Hilton Head.
Ooh, nice.
And by Sunday, I'll be in Tennessee through Tuesday.
In the Tennessee mountains.
In the Tennessee Smoky Mountains. So I'm going to have some fantastic views.
Gatlinburg.
Yep, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge.
Wow.
Have to attend a Sunday fall wedding, though, which is horrendous, but, you know.
It's better than a Saturday fall wedding. Let's just
I guess.
Football Sundays. All right, we got a lot to get into. Tampa Bay Trey. Trevor Sikkema is going to join us at 10:10 from Pro Football Focus, their lead draft analyst, also obviously covers the game. So we'll talk Bucs 49ers and just maybe what quarterbacks might be available to the Buccaneers next year. We're not throwing away the season, but, you know, it's always good to kind of look ahead to the future. We'll talk some Bolts today's as well. After a big win last night at Chicago. I mean, it's not a big win, but it's a nice win to have.
It's a gotta have it.
Get back in the win column. A lot of good things happened last night, so we'll get into that. Pat Burnham will join us from the Osceola. We'll relive FSU's big win over Miami, look ahead to the possible playoff run, and the 2013 National Championship team will be honored this weekend, Nikki. A lot of the big names coming back. Jameis Winston has the weekend off. They're going to retire his jersey, I'm told. But you know who won't be there? At least I don't think he will. Jimbo Fisher.
Ooh.
And so I've been kind of canvassing my FSU brethren about, would he be welcome back? Would he be booed? Would he be cheered? And the overwhelming response from FSU fans is he would be booed. And probably would not be invited back for the way that he left. And we're going to get into that a little bit. I don't think it's as surface as people think. It's a little bit more deep rooted. So we'll talk about that with Pat and yourself and everybody else, and love to hear from you Seminole fans. That question, I was going to put out a poll. I'm going to try to put out a poll today since it's topical. If you're an FSU fan, would you welcome him back? Would you want him invited back? My answer is a big hell no to that because of the way he left. Not recruiting, not doing game plans, getting a deal done before, just quitting on your team and the people that are paying you and have paid you well. It's not okay. Not okay whatsoever. So we'll talk about that as the show goes on as well. But let's get right into it with the Bolts last night, Nikki. A nice 4-2 win. The Stars kind of leading the way. Braden Point breaking through with the power play goal. Victor Hedman, Kucherov with an egregious turnover. But for the most part, I thought they played probably their most complete game. They held Connor Bedard to one shot, none in 5-on-5, no shots on goal whatsoever. Sorry, ESPN. I apologize, but we shut him down. 15 shots total for the Blackhawks, and the Bolts have been giving up an average of 33 shots per game, which is way too many and way too many golden chances, odd man rushes. But last night was really, really good. They only allowed one shot in the final 18 minutes of play in a very, very tight game. So tip of the cap to the boys. They played really, really well last night, and it was much needed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not gonna get too overboard because it's Chicago, and I expect this team to play well against kind of the lower teams in this league. And but that being said, Chicago got them 7 days prior to this. So I was looking at it, the way they played against Carolina, and then the way they played against St. Louis, which just left a sour taste in my mouth. It was like, if there was ever such thing as you have to have this one in November, I thought this one you had to have. And at least the encouraging part is, like you said, the defense, which has struggled so much this year, particularly Mikhail Sergachev, stepped up in a big way, and Sergachev stepped up in a big way as well. I think I heard I heard some things on Twitter that apparently he deleted his Instagram, and it had to do with maybe a lot of fans were going after Sergachev after the St. Louis game, fed up with his play and things like that. And I heard he had deleted his Instagram, but then he comes out and he scores his first goal of the year and has 2 points on the night. He was back on the power play and he played a lot better. So that's an encouraging sign moving forward, because that's a guy that they're paying to be a 1. And I think his play had left a lot to be desired this year, to be frank. No question about it. And if they're going to get to where they want to be, he's going to have to be a lot better given what they're paying him. And last night was a good step forward, I think, for Mikhail Sergachev.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this, that, this is a team that's had a lot of, great, 2 Stanley Cups, the finals, everything. They've had so much to cheer about and fill themselves up with, that they've lost a lot of hunger. And I think you could see that in their play. They need to regain that. And it's hard to do in a regular season, but maybe, and when you first told me that about his Instagram, I'm like, ooh, that's, come on, fans, we're better than that. Lightning fans are better than that. But, maybe that's the kick in the ass that he needed, because certainly he wasn't being motivated by anything else. He wasn't playing the way he can play. And, maybe, that was a slap in the face. Like, look, your fan base loves you, but right now you're not giving it what you should be giving it. Maybe that was it. And if that's the case, so be it. Everybody gets motivated in different ways. I'm not, I think I was about to say Lightning fans were better than that. And these guys have given you some incredible things to celebrate. But, but also we expect more. And that's and that, maybe that's the player's fault. You've given us a high bar, and our expectations are Stanley Cup or bust, because you guys are that good and you've proven that. So, yeah. And I think Hedman played, I thought he played really well last night. I was kind of dinging him earlier in the week and just saying, this is when this team has been at their best. Victor Hedman has been at his best and dominating games at times, especially back in those cup years. And we haven't seen that. We certainly didn't see it last year. So he needs to step up as well. I understand, he's not 27 anymore, but he's also not 39. So I expect more from both of these guys. I think you're right on.
Yeah, I think just in grand scheme, you need the guys that are making big money to step up. Not named Nikita Kucherov and not named Braden Point. And that was a step forward. And the other thing, too, I'm looking forward to at this point is, I've been saying I don't want to fully judge this team until they have Vasilevsky. And it's not because of that the goaltending is necessarily the problem or has been the problem. It's really not been on most nights. But don't you think they get that guy back? It seems like he's a tad ahead of schedule from when he's going to return. Don't you think just having him there, it's like going to just, the first night that he's out on the ice and he's in net and these guys look around and they're like, wow, we got 88 back. Like, don't you feel like there's going to be that sense of like, okay, it's go time now?
Yeah.
It's going to be like just such an uplifting moment for the team. And then the confidence, to have that guy behind you. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like waiting to fully, if this continues to pound an alarm bell, I want to see what it looks like when they get 88 back in net. Is that fair?
Absolutely. We talked a little bit about this earlier in the week that, I'm not sitting there pointing the finger at Johansson or Tompkin. We're not. That's not the reason why this team is not performing at a higher level. They just don't have their mojo right now. And I define that as 88. And when you don't have your, what were the Bucs without Tom Brady? When you have the guy that drives the car, you have to, when he's not there. Yeah. I mean, the car's still going to run. We can get some other guys to do that, but it just doesn't feel right. That guy is your point person. And how many times have we said, boy, Vasi made those 3 huge saves in the first period and we kind of got ourselves going a little bit in the second and then we won it in the third. I mean, that has been the recipe for success, since he took over in net. And when you don't have that, it's just different. And it gives you an energy, and I think it's going to make this team feel more like a Stanley Cup champion. You know, their swagger picks up. Everything just picks up a little bit more when you got that guy. He's the best goalie in the game. And the most important position in hockey is goalie, right? So, I mean, if you're getting good net minding, and look, the numbers have not been great in terms of goaltending, but again, we can all point to the shots given up, the 10 bell chances that are given up. It's been too much. The defense has not been great, and not just the defensive pairs. We're talking about the entire team. So again, it's not just about the goaltending, but it's about a feel. It's about swag. It's about your mojo, and it's going to change when 88 gets back, or at least it should.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it doesn't,
really in trouble.
That's what I'm saying. If it doesn't, then I'll start pounding the alarm bells then.
Right, exactly. All right, we got to take a quick break early on because Tampa Bay Trey's coming on with us, and he has to jump on by phone, so we got to do that during the break, just keeping you guys abreast of what's happening. We're coming right back. Quick 3-minute break. We'll be back. We'll be talking some Buccaneers. We got more Lightning talk with Dave Andrechuk and Brad Richards being elected to their Hall of Fame. We got plenty of college football talk coming your way. Big show. Stay with us. Quick break. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Patio. That's the place to go watch the games this weekend, and including tonight, where USF will take on San Antonio, University of Texas, San Antonio, with a chance to clinch bowl eligibility. And their coach has been flirting with Texas A&M all weekend, so who knows? So head on out to the Patio for a great happy hour starting at 3 o'clock if you want to start the weekend early. $1 off all beer and wine, and the best place to watch games all weekend long. It is the Patio. All right, I want to welcome in Tampa Bay Trevor Sikkema, now the lead draft analyst at Pro Football Focus. What's up, Trevor? How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, JP. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, we love having you come on, and I know you've been keeping an eye on your Buccaneers from afar there. Just give me your overall thoughts on where this team stands right now at 4-5. I've not been a big fan of the way Todd Bowles has handled personnel this year and managed a lot of the games. I think they should have at least 2 more wins with Atlanta and Houston. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a very up and down year. And when you look at this team, I think that's why the conversations going into the season were so split on what people believe the outcome was going to be for this Buccaneers team. Because, I mean, when you look at the depth chart just on paper, you say, okay, this isn't really a team that's going to go away quietly post-Brady era. You know, they've got an experienced coaching staff, even though the jury's still out on Todd Bowles as a head coach. He's had experience in that area. The guys on staff had experience in their areas. And so when you combine that with good veterans on the roster that were still there, Baker Mayfield, there being reason to believe in him going into the season, you kind of heard the win-loss predictions all over the place. And here they are. They're more, I would say, on the more pessimistic side of some of those predictions, but they're still kind of right around there. And unfortunately, I just don't think that they're going in the right direction in enough areas. And it just feels as though certainly the way they're handling the run game and the execution with the run game is not nearly as good as it needs to be. They got to hit that hard in free agency for sure. The secondary is really taking a step back. I mean, sometimes it's an up and down thing, secondary cornerback safety play is, but man, for the money that you've shelled out to the top 2 corners and obviously for as good as a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr. is, like, you got to expect better, at least a higher floor week in and week out. And I think that's really killed them as well. Unfortunately, I think edge rush presence, pass rush presence, not nearly what it needs to be. And so you're having to get more aggressive to send guys to the front. That's hurting the secondary even more. So it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of things in sync. There's still players to point to. It's not like it's all bad, but it's just not coming together the way that it really could have. And that's why they're sitting here on the outside looking at it.
At least offensively, though, it looks like it might be, trending in the right direction. At least Baker's played pretty well of late. I wanted to ask you, though, specifically about Dave Canales, first-time play caller. I mean, you watch a lot of teams in this league, and we talked a lot about modernizing the offense from what Byron Leftwich and the BA system. Have you seen that kind of take place with Dave Canales? Does he kind of look like one of these like young up-and-coming OCs that is he in line with that, you think, from his play calling so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's been fine, right? I think that there are areas of offense where he has definitely taken them in a step in the right direction, right? I mean, when you look at some of the things that it felt like Byron Leftwich was very stubborn to, whether it was statistical outputs and how to judge the team and how to get better, or situational football, or certainly things like motion and play action and all that. It was as if Byron didn't want to hear it. It was a lot of stuff where he was just like, no, it's my way or the highway. And unfortunately, it wasn't working well enough, and so it ended up being the highway for him. But and Canales is more open-minded in a lot of those areas, and I think that you've seen that. Now, the tough part is they're not good enough up front, right? So when you're not as good up front, what can you really do? And I also think that it's tough because for as much as Todd Bowles is not an offensive coordinator, he is the head coach, and he still has say into the flow of the game, how the offense is built, the philosophy of it, right? So, some of these things, I know some people are complaining like, man, why are they still running the ball so much, especially on, second and long situations, or maybe to start the drives? Like, why are they doing this so much when they know that the run game isn't working? Well, a lot of that can sometimes come down to philosophy, right? I'm not saying that this is 100% the case, but certainly a lot of defensive head coaches don't want you just throwing the ball all around the yard because it's gassing the defense out. If you're not able to control the clock, if you aren't able to stay balanced in terms of run and pass, like sometimes that can really gas the defense. And as a defensive head coach, you're thinking about that quite a bit. So I all that to say, like, I like some of the things that Dave Canales is doing, but some people are really harsh on him because certainly of the run game, I know that that's a big point of contention with certain fans, but it's hard to totally put a lot of those things on Dave Canales, knowing that as a first-time play caller and first-time full offensive coordinator, he doesn't exactly have the legacy credit to really push back on Todd Bowles if Bowles were to say, hey, I want to be more balanced than we are right now. So I don't know if that's the case, but it's kind of context to saying, I think that he has been fine. Like, I think he's figuring it out. He's going through some of his learning curves, but every coach does that. So I think that he has been fine. I really do.
I think it's a great point you make, and you can look to some of these games that I think that they should have won as a perfect example. Against Houston, they have a 10-point lead, and they obviously are scoring at will. The Bucs are, but they put it in. They put it into deep freeze a little bit because he thinks he can win that game 24-10. Not going to happen. Last week, they kind of put it in the deep freeze when they got up 2 scores, and luckily, nobody broke a tackle. No, one of those deep balls didn't go through and didn't make it a 20-13 game, or we might have been in the same position. So I agree with you. I think this offense is being held back because Bowles insists on running the ball up the middle or running it. Even the runs that they choose. I mean, every time it seems they run to the outside, they make 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. Every time they run it up the middle where their interior line is awful, they don't. So yeah, I think you're on. I think definitely Bowles is holding the team back offensively. It sure seems that way to me.
Yeah, and I was just going to add on. It's tough because they're coming off of an era where, certainly with Arians and with Leftwich calling the plays, they wanted to run a lot more power stuff up the middle. And 2-3 years ago, they built a team to be able to do that, right? The offensive line a couple of years ago was Ali Marpet, it was Ryan Jensen, it was Alex Kappa. Like those are some ass kickers,
exactly.
That you're running duo, you're running power, you're running gap, you're running all those kinds of things. Yeah. And I don't think they have that kind of an offensive line anymore. So I think they're kind of transitioning into that as well.
It's a great point. And personnel decisions, and this is where you guys really shine at PFF. I mean, you can look at this. And Matt Filer has been awful since day one and wasn't great last year, but they plug him in instead of Nick Leverett, who may not look like a great football player, but gets the job done a hell of a lot better. You put in Aaron Stinney, he's been better than Filer. Last week against Jeffrey Simmons, maybe not as much, but he's put some good tape out there. I think Hainsey's been awful all year long. Why don't you look at replacing him? Cody Mauch is a young kid. I think he's getting better, but he looks a little overmatched. And then you can look on the defensive side. Here this week, Todd Bowles says Marquise Watts has been destroying his tackles in practice. Okay, Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke have played pretty well. And this kid doesn't get a look until week 10? Week 10? And he gets like 6 pressures out of 12 snaps or some ridiculous thing. And Joe Tryon-Shoyinka has been a pair of shoes. And Yaya Diaby is clearly better, but it takes 10 weeks for these guys to get more snaps. I mean, Bowles just seems to move at a glacier's pace when it's clear that guys aren't getting the job done, and that you may have better guys on your roster. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, certainly as you're looking at it right now, it feels like during the second half of the season, you might as well change something because right now, obviously, you're on the wrong side of 500, and I think that Bowles, I don't know what kind of conversations like this happen on behind the scenes. I think from a healthy organization, they probably don't, but it feels like it would be a bit naive for him to believe that he's not a little bit on the hot seat here with how this year has gone. So you might as well try things a little bit differently. There's always a give and take with playing the young guys, right? I think that Watts is probably in a situation where because he was played so sparingly, you're putting him in a game and you're basically telling him, hey, pin your ears back and go after him. And we saw during the preseason and during training camp, that's what he does best, and that's what he did best in college. Now, if you put him in there instead of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, is he, responsible enough in his run fit? Is he setting the edge the way that he needs to? Is he making the right decision to crash or to contain on RPO looks? Those things definitely go into it. There's no doubt about it. But I think that even if you're not elevating him to starting level over some of those more experienced defensive linemen, you got to sprinkle more of it in there because I didn't check this week, but last week the Bucs were bottom 10 in if you just look at their defensive line, They were bottom 10 in the NFL in sacks, in total pressures, and in pass rush win percentage. That's the three key stats that we've got there. And so that's just the defensive line, right? So obviously a Todd Bowles defense, you're throwing corner blitzes, you got linebacker blitzes, and all those things can inflate the percentage numbers of pressures a little bit more. But the front is just not getting home. And I love the combination of Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey. I think they've got a great 1-2 punch there with the interior. But there's no doubt about it. As I do these mock drafts and as I look at these draft projections and some offseason stuff, edge rusher is what I continue to go back to as they have to start to be better in that area.
Totally agree. And they're going to be looking at a quarterback, that's for sure. Even though I think Baker's played real well under the circumstances, I think he's been good. But evidently, they don't feel Trask is the future, and there's so many good ones. What are your thoughts on this quarterback class?
No, it is. It's really stacked. And I agree with you. I think that when we were doing early mock drafts, it always seemed to be quarterback for the Buccaneers. But Baker has played very well. Again, I use your words, and I think they're spot on given the circumstances. He continues to give this team a chance to win, whether it's shootouts like we saw against Houston or close games that we've seen throughout the season, like against the Atlanta Falcons, right? And so they're always there. They're always right there in it. So I think that Baker and his connection with Dave Canales for a first-time, solidified starter here in Tampa Bay versus, how he has been as a play caller in Dave Canales, that's something that's encouraging moving forward. But all that to say, it is a really deep and intriguing quarterback class. Now, there's a handful of these guys that I think are probably going to go back, right? We're talking about like Carson Beck from Georgia, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Like, I could definitely see Quinn Ewers, maybe even from Texas. Like, these guys might not even be in the draft pool, so they might be next year's guys anyways. But even if you take out some of those players, the depth of the quarterback class means that they can hit on one, even if it's not with that first-round pick, second-round pick, third-round pick, investing in a player to, maybe push Mayfield, even best-case scenario if he plays well enough. I think that is something that is within the realm of realism when you look at how deep this quarterback class is.
And is there something I'm missing, by the way? Because I see a lot of people, like when it comes to Jaden Daniels, and maybe this is starting to change a little bit. Like everybody was saying, he's a day 2 pick. I mean, I'll be damned if I watch this guy and I don't think, are we sure he's not the third best quarterback in this class and everything? Because like he's got like this, like from a height standpoint, he's got the size. I'm sure he can put on a little more weight, but the way he moves, the way he throws the football, like it's hard to deny, right, that this guy is most likely going to be a round 1 guy.
He is really getting in that conversation. And I think the reason why a lot of people are slow to recognize that is because it's just not how Jaden Daniels was viewed for the longest time. I mean, even going back to Arizona State, he was a big-armed quarterback who seemed like much more of a runner than really a passer. Plays those years there, goes over to LSU. You could tell he really honed in on eliminating the negative plays and the turnover-worthy plays. He had one of the lowest turnover-worthy play rates in the country last year, but the big-time throws and how far he was throwing it were much lower as well. So you go, okay, well, you're not really pushing the ball deep down the field. You're just playing very conservative. This year, he's taken those principles of being a risk-averse type of a player, and he has now exploded with the explosive plays and the big-time throws. And so it's the best version. And then that's not to mention what he still is as a runner. So, I think that a lot of people have just thought of Jaden Daniels, and myself included, going into the year. I was like, I think he's a really good college quarterback. And it's tougher to get over that kind of first and second impression of him over the last couple of years. But when you just look at what he is doing this season, it's hard to say that for that QB3 title, there's a player that's playing better ball right now. I still like Bo Nix a lot. I think Bo Nix has got a lot of NFL ability. He's right there in that conversation for me. I'd still have him QB3, but I am considering Jaden Daniels as a first rounder and is in that second tier of quarterbacks more and more as the weeks go on.
Tampa Bay Trevor Sikkema, Pro Football Focus lead draft analyst. Trevor, tell the folks how they can get all your content, your podcasts, etc.
Yeah, everything over at PFF.com. If you got a subscription over there, you can see all sorts of great player data. You can see all those stats that I was referencing earlier in the show, but you can also see the full big board that we have for the 2024 NFL Draft. You can use our mock draft simulator, and you guys can make your own mock drafts as well. All that good stuff is over at PFF.com.
Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate your time. As always, look forward to chatting with you down the line. Thanks.
Anytime, my friend.
Great stuff right there. I would love to see Jaden Daniels in a Bucs uniform.
I'm so all in on the idea. And it's like, we still got all these games to play. And I'm already like sold. But at the same time, I think
most Gator fans, if you're a Gator Buck fan, I wonder, like, after what you saw last week, are you still like, give Trask a chance? No, draft Jaden Daniels.
Oh God, no. That seems so far-fetched at this point. But no, but you know what, part of this though, and I don't want to get so ahead of myself with the draft because I hate doing it because we've been doing this for years as Bucs fans.
I know.
But I'm just going to – I know we're not there yet, but I'm already – it's in front of my face.
Monday might be.
But all I'm going to say on that without expounding too much into it until the Bucs start losing more games, like it feels one of those things where like my heart is like telling me like I want Jaden Daniels, but my mind, if I'm being smart, is probably telling me that the Bucs should go and get a premier pass rusher, especially if they're picking in the top 15. Yeah. And you got the kid from UCLA, Latu. You got Dallas Turner from Bama. You got Jared Verse from FSU. You got Chop Robinson from Penn State. You got 4 pass rushers that could go in the top 15. And it's like, that's the number one thing I think that's a problem with that team is their pass rush. And Trevor Sikkema, the numbers he pointed out there, I did not know those numbers.
That's bad.
I mean, that's horrendous. I mean, they've got to get better there.
With Cansey coming back, and getting to full force, it's going to pick up because the Cansey-Vea duo, I think, is going to be deadly just because of the contrast of what they can do. Vea's you have to double team Vea, and if you don't double Cansey, he's splitting you. And even when you try to double him, he splits the double team so well because he gets skinny in the hole and. He's just so good, and he's going to be great. But it's just those outside guys, man. Those outside guys they're just not there. And it's a position where talent, size, and speed matter, right? It really, really matter because, I think you can at other positions, you can find players, in the second, third, fourth, even fifth round, inside linebacker, safety, even corner to something. You're not going to get an elite corner. I get it. But you can get guys that can play, right? And guys that can play. But where you need difference makers, and you talk about this all the time, is at these certain positions, right? Do the Bucs have a difference maker at left tackle? They do. Do they have a difference maker at quarterback? Not yet. Do they have a difference maker at running back? No. Do they have a difference maker at corner? As much as we're paying? No. So where are the difference makers? At safety, Antoine Winfield? Yes, they do. But edge rusher? No, they don't. They don't have a guy. Now, Shaq was that guy. I just think we all know that he's probably on the other side of it.
I was going to say, you have to prepare at this point for life without Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, he's on the other side of it.
He's on the other side. And I listen, I'm at the point where, like, I think the Bucs have probably internally made their call on Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I think at this point they know what he is.
For God's sakes, yes.
And so, in my opinion, Yaya Diaby, if he outsnaps him moving forward, cool.
Has to
in my mind. And then Marquise Watts,
give this guy a run. By the way.
That's what I'm saying. No, I like Diaby. Yeah. But here's my thing. Just because you have one guy in the pipeline doesn't mean you can't keep adding to it. Exactly. The best teams in this league have dangerous front sevens, and they're deep, and they can rotate the hell out of you.
Look at the 49ers this week, folks. You're going to see a team, just getting off the freaking bus. It's those guys are because you're going to be like, holy
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you watch the really good teams in this league, like you can complicate football all you want in so many different ways, but it comes down to who wins in the trenches. That's it. The great offensive lines in this league usually have really good teams. The great defensive lines are usually on really good teams. And the teams that are the great
Eagles
ones
and the 49ers have both. Yes.
Exactly.
Both. Yes.
That's the key to winning in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not, and that's not going to change. So as we may sit here and salivate over a quarterback in the first round, this would be nice to have 2 first-round picks. We can salivate over that. But the bottom line is you got to have a badass coming off the edge. And just think about it. If you do go get, one of those guys you just mentioned and pair him with Yaya Diaby.
Yes.
Okay. Now you got pressure on the quarterback all the freaking time. And that's how you win football games. So this Bucs and Trevor said this last time and it keeps ringing in my ears. is that you look at this Bucs roster and you're like, oh, they can be competitive in the NFC South. So you don't want to just say it's a complete rebuild. But as he said, in the trenches, it screams rebuild. It does. It screams rebuild. And that's where, you have to be honest about yourself as a football team. Do you need draft picks, or do you need and I don't know this for a fact, but there were reports out there that the Bucs were offered by the Jets a first-round pick for Mike Evans at the deadline. And as much as
that. I don't know why I just don't buy that. I love Mike, but also, a first-round pick.
I mean, and as I say, in 5 weeks when this team may not be in contention anymore, but it might, they might have turned it around. Who knows? You'll be saying, I wish I had 2 top 15 picks instead of 1. And you could go out and get a quarterback and an edge rusher like the Houston did and totally change the fortunes of your team. But that's not what happened. So you're sitting here dealing with this at this particular point. And, I hope this season gets better. They're not going to win this week. They're going to get destroyed. Of course, I said they were going to get beat by the Titans too, and I was wrong. I was completely wrong. But they went out and they changed some things. Yeah. So maybe the things that you changed last week propel you this week. I think it's a tough ask.
What sucks about this is San Francisco lost 3 games in a row, and a lot of people jumped off and they started these narratives against Brock Purdy. And I mean, when they got Debo and Trent Williams back, you saw what they looked like last week. Right. I mean, I know you could say, well, okay, he needs all these guys to be great. Whatever. Everybody needs something in this league.
Yeah, every quarterback needs that. Yeah.
But when they got all these guys back, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Trent Williams, that's crazy, man. It's an all-pro team on offense. But they got them every game that those guys have played in together. I believe they're 6-0.
Yeah, they've won.
And quite frankly, it's not even close. They haven't played any close games when they've had all these guys. So it looks like bad timing for the Bucs. I mean, you got to fly 3,000 miles all the way over there to begin with. This team had your number last year. I know things are a little different, but are they really? It just I hate it for the offense more so, because the offense, I think, is starting to make some strides. I think Canales is starting to figure out what they are. Mm-hmm. Now that we're 10 weeks into the season, and now you got to run into that pass rush, right? And Luke Gedeke, I mean, last time I checked, is he still TBD to play at this point? And
yeah.
And I cannot see Justin School or whoever out there. That would kill us, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like San Francisco's secondary is all their corners, I think, are the one thing on their roster that's a little weak. So
yep.
I think there's some matchups you can take advantage of with Mike and Chris, but
they're going to have huge games
dealing with the pass rush. And Baker's the number 1 quarterback in the league against pressure, for what that's worth. So
yeah,
we'll see, but I'm not expecting by any means an upset.
Yeah. Yeah. And Trent Williams missed those 2 games and, parts of a third, and those are the games that they lost. I mean, yeah, that's how important he is to what they do. So there's Lonnie Wilkins says the creamsicles cursed us. That's when it all started, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, you people are nuts.
Blame Nick.
See, you've gotten in my head. I haven't worn a creamsicle on this show since then.
Yeah. Who's responsible for JTS and Logan Hall, says Harvey Riles. Are you talking about Jason Light? By the way, both of those guys are end of first round. It's not like they were slam dunk picks, but
they were development picks, and their development is not
first rounders should not be development picks. First rounders should be starters without question.
I know they should be,
question.
But these 2 players were not that.
I don't think either one of them were starters in the league. So that's a whiff. No. Top of the first, top of the second, or end of the first. You got to get guys that are gonna be.
This just popped in my head. I don't know why Jaden Daniels is still lurking in my head. I gotta get it out. But you know what I just realized, JP?
What?
You know who he was teammates with at Arizona State?
Rashad White. Yeah. Ooh, the connections.
The connections.
Yeah, interesting.
The connections.
Interesting. Yeah. Hey, listen, I mean, the Bucs could do a lot worse, but again, we're going to be debating this the entire offseason, edge rusher or quarterback. Be nice to be able to get both. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to hear from John Cooper. Pat Burnham's going to join us at 11 o'clock. We're going to talk some Florida State. And my question for you guys, you FSU fans, would you invite Jimbo Fisher back for the celebration for the 2013 Natty this weekend? Should the university invite him back? Should he pay for his own luxury box with that $76 million and see if anybody stops by? All these questions are burning in my head, and we'll talk about that and much more when we return here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595 or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at theGoldenDiamondSource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen.
Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this fabulous Friday. I did play golf yesterday. By the way, speaking of golf, we're brought to you by the Geddes Gordon Group. Jane Geddes, former U.S. Open champion, now taking your real estate needs to heart, and she can help you out. And the Geddes Gordon Group, Nick Geddes has the same name. It's interesting. They're doing a great job in South Tampa and all around Tampa Bay. So if you have any real estate needs whatsoever or need some golf tips or both, call Jane and just get in touch with them by the website, thegeddesgordongroup.com, and tell them JP sent you. Because she did give me a couple tips the other day when I was playing so horribly.
And it led you to winning your Ryder Cup yesterday?
I did win the Ryder Cup match. Yes, it was me and Paul Stewart played a USA versus, as he would like to say, Britain, not he doesn't want to represent Spain or France or any of those places. So yeah, it was a great match back and forth. There was no one was more than one up. We got to, was it 15, and he missed like a 2.5, 3-footer that would have put him up two in the match. And then I came back and striped one on 16. Or was that 15? 15, I striped one and won that hole. So we went to we go to 17 all square, and it's about a 200-yard hole into the wind, tough par 3, and I hit a great 4-iron right up on the front of the green. He pulls out a 7-wood, hits it to about 12 feet, like just a great shot. I almost made about a 45-footer for birdie, and he missed his birdie. So we go to 18 all tied, and I completely cold top my drive. Completely like 50 yards, par 5. So second shot, I hit it out into the other fairway, which you could play from, but I had about a 200-yard shot in and hit a great 5-iron over the trees from the other fairway, but it just fell into the bunker. So I had a long bunker shot to get up and down. Meanwhile, he was 100 yards out on 18 and hit what I thought was a perfect shot, but it just started fading and almost went in the bunker, but it stayed up. And then I'd have to say the shot of the day was my about 35, 40-yard bunker shot that I had to hit. Went and got my 56 instead of the 60 and just hit it perfect. Stopped about 4 feet, 5 feet from the hole. So I had that for par. He kind of chunked his chip and then ran his putt by. And then instead of watching me drain that 4-footer, hadn't made a putt all day, he picked it up. He gave it to me for the win. So that was rather sporting of him, I thought.
The Britons are always respectful, very respectful people.
So he gave, he gave me the 4.5-footer that I was going to drain anyway. No, maybe not. So I won one up. But yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day of sport.
I'm happy you won a sport because all these months later, we're still getting our ass kicked in Thursday night softball.
Oh, really?
22-5 last night.
God.
22-5.
Are you getting your ass beat by the old heads out there mostly?
These dudes, like we do like the handshake line after the game and everything. And every single time I'm like this. What? I'm like, good game. Like these guys are like, I think their smallest player has to be 6'3", the one we played yesterday.
Jesus. Wow.
And we only have 2 guys on our team that are over like 6 foot.
Are they banging home runs right and left?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys,
and we don't hit home runs. No. We got one guy that can hit home runs. And so we have to single our way around. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up. The big boppers at their beer and testosterone fused men, real men. It's going to be a tough haul. Our team used to play that way. And we had Chris Courier, Jim's brother, who was a lefty, and he played baseball at USF. Man, I played with a lot of really, really good softball players, but this guy had bat speed and it could launch like nobody I've ever seen. He would hit, I think, 400-foot home runs. Ball just going up at the lights, just like it's still going up at the lights. He would hit ball. We probably had 4 or 5 guys like that. Maybe not like that. He was, but we had 4 or 5 guys that were almost automatic home runs every time. I could hit 2 a game because we had kind of a little bit of a short porch at the place we played in left field. I was good for 1 or 2 a game, and then we had 3 or 4 guys that were good for 1 or 2 a game. So every guy in our lineup, San's our leadoff guy, or one other guy could hit home runs at any time. And if you don't have that, you're
Hey, but before we get back into the sports real quick, I forgot to mention this, but Casey wanted me to mention this. I did Great American Teach-In yesterday.
Oh, nice.
For 5th graders for sports journalism. And let me ask you how my hook was, because I got to entice these people. And I started with, do you like watching TV? Do you like watching sports on TV? Well, guess what? I get paid to do that every single day.
Nice.
And what's better than that? And I got one, and I got him hooked on that one. But then I took questions, and this is so.
You show him some video from the show?
I did video of the show. I did my own work in journalism. I did my UCF stuff. Nice. I had it all. I brought press passes for them to look at, everything. But then I got to the question part. First question: have you ever met Travis Kelce? Then I get a question later on. Have you ever met Taylor Swift? I'm like,
you should have been like Carissa Thompson and said, "Yeah, of course, hang out with them. I hang out with them all the time. Sure, yeah." I saw she was trending. I'm like, why is Carissa Thompson trending?
Oh God!
Did you see this story? So
yes, I saw this story.
So she said that sometimes she would make up stuff on from her sideline reporting, and I'm like, okay, that's not cool. And then I went and read the whole thing because nobody reads articles anymore; they just read headlines. And the stuff she made, you know what the stuff she made up was? This coach told me that they have to stop turning it over. They need to convert on 3rd down, and they need to win the line of scrimmage. Like she would, if she didn't get a chance to talk to the coach because they were in a hurry or whatever, she would make up a few cliches and nothing like, oh, I was told that Joe Burrow has a broken wrist. Like nothing of consequence is what she said. Now, should you be making stuff up? No. But now everybody, of course, is taking to Twitter and taking to social media to just, lambaste her for, quote, making stuff up. She wasn't making up stuff like that was significant and proprietary. Like, he said that his quarterback is not playing well, needs to stop turning the ball over, or called somebody out. It's just all cliche stuff that coaches say anyway for these stupid halftime interviews. So let's keep it in context. She wasn't, and I have no reason to defend her. I'm not defending her making things up, but all these people that run to Twitter to show us how much they are bastions of journalists, even though they're complete cowards when it comes to speaking up about anything real. That now, oh yes, you cannot make things up. You got to be a trusted source. Well, duh. So I think it's a lot. There's a little faux outrage here.
My thing is, what's the benefit of putting that out there though?
None. Just
like she's on like a Barstool podcast or whatever, and just putting that out there, and of course they're going to post that clip,
right?
And it just, regardless how you feel about it, and you might think it's just a very minor thing, like. We already have an issue with a lot of people, and the reality is just do not believe a lot of things that come from any media anymore.
No, unfortunately. To be quite honest, yeah.
Well, I still think it's unfortunate because it just is. And, just to put that out there, like you make people question everyone else. And there are sideline reporters that do a really good job and get used. Like people keep saying, oh, you don't ever get useful information from the sideline report. Last time I checked, the Bucs played the Falcons 3 weeks ago, but John Robinson wasn't playing in the football game.
Right.
You want to know how I found out why he wasn't playing in the football game? Because of the sideline report that, who was it? Christina Pink or someone did. Whoever was working the game that day gave me the information that Bijan Robinson was sick.
Okay.
Because she spoke to Arthur Smith. That's the job. I got useful information from that.
Did you?
I did.
Because the information I got from my people in Atlanta is he wasn't sick. He wasn't sick at all. The real story is something completely different. And they told me not to mention it on the air. But it's already out there in the sphere if you want to look it up. It wasn't because he was sick, Nick. It wasn't. That's the bullshit that was told to her, and that's nothing on her. That's what she was told, and that's what she reported. So I'm not impugning her in any way, because that's what she was told and that's what she reported. But it's not true. There's another reason why he was sat down, and he was sat down. But that's a whole nother argument. It's a whole nother argument. But what I think she was just trying to be cool. Like, yeah, sometimes I made some stuff up, and she basically said, what coach is going to be mad at me if I say, oh, we got to stop turning the ball over, we got to win the line of scrimmage, just cliche stuff. But I get it. But then everybody has to run to social media and prove what great journalists they are, and say, oh, you can't make stuff up. Well, duh. So I don't know. She shouldn't have said it. She shouldn't have admitted it. She was trying to be one of the cool kids, I'm sure, by saying she made stuff up. But you're going to get roasted on that, and she's probably can't get another job sideline reporting. I don't know. What's she doing now?
Well, she's the Amazon Prime host.
Right.
For the pre and post.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good look for Amazon Prime. I mean, I'm sure she's regretting saying what she said. Why does it always happen on these Barstool podcasts?
That's what I'm saying. That there's no benefit on going on these Barstool podcasts or whatever and putting this stuff out there. There's no benefit.
What they do. I mean, it's entertaining. I watch some of it where they, it's a very conversational thing. You feel like you're in the bar room, just sitting with a couple of friends, and you got to remember you're not. You're not. They make it very conversational and very, casual. But you can't. I think what she did was harmless. To be honest with you, if she did it with any information of consequence, I think it's horrible. But to admit it, there's no upside. There's zero upside to it. So I don't know. But can we stop with the faux outrage from all these other people who I'm sure, by the way, have made stuff up in their career? That's not what I want to talk about in this segment. We got Pat Burnham coming up here in just a little bit. I was going to get to this Rays story that people are talking about. Now we don't have a whole lot of time to get into it. So, but I guess it was former Mayor Baker penned an article, an op-ed in the Times that the Rays should now take on the name St. Petersburg, since St. Petersburg is going to pay for the new stadium and Pinellas County is going to pay for the new stadium. What a disastrous idea. I love you, Mayor Baker. And I see where the provincialism is coming from. But as one of my good friends texted me this morning, they do that, I'm completely done. How in God's name does that endear yourself to the people of Hillsborough County who pay the bills? Because in case you haven't noticed, Mayor Baker, none of the people or very few people in St. Petersburg actually go to the games. Yeah, you have a real problem with that. And if you think that is going to somehow marshal these people to fill your stadium by putting St. Petersburg over the chest of the team, I got news for you. That ain't happening.
And like last time I checked, and I'm still getting all my history on the Tampa Bay St. Pete war of sorts from back in the day. But from what I've understood in that PBS documentary that they did on the Rays, like it was pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
Of the back and forth between St. Pete and Tampa. And so even when the Bucs were formed in 1976, they took on Tampa Bay to cover Tampa, to cover St. Pete, Clearwater, and that whole general area, correct? It's Tampa Bay. And to me, it's like, why would you just risk dividing it even more by just saying, no, we're the St. Pete Rays. And I read that op-ed, and there's a quote he has in there, using Green Bay as an example, the greater St. Pete area has a bigger population than Green Bay, yet everybody knows who Green Bay is because of the Packers and everything. And what's kind of funny about that is, okay, you have all this great population on that side of the bay, and you can't put 20,000 people routinely in a 35,000 seat stadium for all these years. And I'm supposed to just be okay with that? And just give St. Pete everything when it comes to the Rays when they've done nothing over there to, quite frankly, deserve the Rays?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
All right, we're going to get to this after we talk to Pat Burnham. We got to get a quick break, 3-minute break. When we come back, we'll talk to Pat Burnham about the FSU Miami win for the Seminoles. What are their chances of making it into the college football playoff? And should Jimbo Fisher be welcomed back with the 2013 national championship team this weekend? I say hell no. Pat's a lot nicer person than I am, so we'll get his take. When we come back, 3-minute break. Stay with us.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by The Patio, the best place to watch games in Tampa. Just head on out and watch them under the stars, under the palm trees, even tonight with USF and San Antonio. Going to be, I think it's at 8 o'clock kick, but head on out, get the happy hour, and then watch the game, and then all the games this week, including FSU and North Alabama. That's going to be a humdinger, as we like to say, as we welcome in our good friend Pat Burnham from the Osceola, part of the Rivals Network. Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. How about you?
Fantastic. After that big win, I'm still hungover, by the way.
Yeah, I see the Rays still getting you guys fired up. And
yeah,
Carissa Thomas. I tell you why she said what she said, because we're all talking about her on Friday.
That's true. That's true. I think she might lose her job, though. I don't know.
Listen, I don't know. She's I don't know if you know her history. She's had some an old video released a while back where she was not fully clothed, and
Really?
that's on the internet. So hopefully,
Wow.
if she can survive that, she can survive this.
I don't know. The other thing's a positive. I don't know if this is such a positive.
Yeah.
But listen, that stadium last Saturday night was like vintage late 80s, 90s, early aughts. That was absolutely rocking Doak Campbell Stadium. And it was fun, man. It was fun to watch. It brought back great memories. Those old Miami, the classic uniforms on both sides,
Yep.
the spear going down. It was packed to the gills, man. It was, I don't know how many they fit in there, but it was a hell of a lot more than 80,000. It seemed like, partner. That was a fun night, was it not?
Yeah, I went up and watched the first quarter from the top of the press box. I want where the light standards are, and that was kind of fun because you don't really get a true feel for the atmosphere in the press box. It's partly sound reduced. I mean,
yes,
the AD box has open windows. The radio box on the other end of that floor of the press box. But so I just wanted to get a feel for the game, and it was. I think I may. Watch the entire UNA game from on top of the press box.
Yeah,
there's not going to be a ton to take away from that game. But yeah, listen, it was a fun night to be at Florida State. It was a fun night it was one of the few weeks that I'll actually kind of drop the professional. I cover Florida State, and I did enjoy myself some Saturday night and Sunday, and kind of reveled in it as a FSU alum. And listen, anytime you beat Miami, it's good no matter how it looks, no matter how it happens. Those games are not supposed to be pretty when you got one team that's fourth ranked and another team that's, theoretically just outside the top 25. And, not for a coaching mistake against Georgia Tech. This team comes in here 7-2 as opposed to 6-3, and probably is ranked if they were 7-2, to be quite honest with you.
No question.
So listen, it was, it did feel like old times. And it was one of those games where I told the guys at the Osceola afterwards, like, I was truly happy. They've had a run of teams that have been playing with deficiencies either at quarterback or injury wise. And, so this one was a little bit more gratifying to cover professionally and a little bit more gratifying to enjoy as a alum. And listen, the defense was outstanding. Adam Fuller took that
really was
game over in the second half. They gave up 36 yards in the second quarter alone, 155 in the second half, including one play that, if not for a bad angle, does not go for a touchdown.
Exactly.
They got over half their second half yards on one play. And then, of course, Alex Mastromano was unbelievable.
He was great.
Listen, he might have been as big of MVP in that game as anybody. 5 of Miami's possessions started inside their own 20-yard line, and they had a 6 that started exactly on the 20-yard line, and that set up several scoring opportunities for Florida State, including probably the most critical thing in the game where Miami had the ball deep there in the field. FSU forced a 3-and-out. Keon Coleman returns the ball. I don't think it may have been a 4-and-out on that particular series. But anyway, Keon Coleman returns the kick down to the 10-yard line. It's history, 27-13. And like I said, that game was effectively over the way Miami was not able to pass the ball and coming back from a 2-score deficit. And it's not even close if Kevin Knowles takes the proper angle on that.
Exactly.
Go route.
Could be a beatdown. Yeah. And we dig into the X's and O's a little bit more about why this football team is so good. And it comes down, a lot of it for me just comes down to the players are just so much better than they've been for so long. And a lot of it is transfer portal, and at this point of the season at 10-0, I think we can say, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, and Jordan Travis, I know is a transfer, but he's, I kind of feel he's more homegrown and up.
He was before it got. Before there was
exactly
portal.
But I think Norvell has done just an absolute tremendous job, not only bringing in this talent, but retaining the talent, Jared Verse and a lot of these guys who stayed around, and then bringing them all together. This is a really tight team. You get that feeling, and you're around it a lot more than I am, but you get this feeling that they're a tight team. They're a disciplined team. There's so much good that there were times in the last 3 years where I was embarrassed to be a Seminole to some of the stuff and the antics that were put out there. And I walked off that, stumbled away from that stadium just feeling tremendous and prideful that that's what we're putting out there now. That's a hell of a team. They play hard. They play discipline. It's a classy group, and they're talented as hell. Just loved everything I saw.
Yeah, listen, I think the one thing that we keep on hearing from recruits, we heard it several times this weekend, as they had about 100 recruits, some of the top recruits in America, and certainly the state of Florida at this game. And the one thing that these guys repeat, and we've heard it this summer when we were out there, they camp all summer, unofficial visits all summer. You hear that this seems like a family. This feels like a family. This feels like a family. And I think Mike does try to foster a family environment. I know that he is. I don't know what Willie and Jimbo did, but I know that Mike has a family night for the staff. I think it's their Sundays where the family goes and has dinner with their fathers and mothers and whoever that work on Florida State staff. And that's something Coach Bowden did back on Wednesdays when he was here, and you always look forward to it. And that's what I think that's one of the reasons that I have stayed close to the guys that the sons and the daughters of the guys that Dad coached with at Florida State, John Gladden and the Amata girls and Shannon Andrews. So I think he's done a very good job of all that. And, listen, he's driven. He wants things done the right way. He's, he puts a lot of work into it. We've seen that on and off the field. He's made himself a part of this university. He follows other sports teams, and I think he's done a very good job. And listen, he's adapted to the new era of college football about as well as anybody has, particularly as it pertains to the portal. And now they've got it. Now that they're winning, and I've always said that winning is the best thing you can do in recruiting. You don't need listen, we hear about buildings and uniforms and this, that, and the other, and even NIL. But what trumps all of that is the ability to go play in somewhere where you can win at a high rate. And Mike Norvell's doing that. 20 of the last 23 games. He's going to go 21 of 24 this weekend. So he is killing it, and he's probably going to get a big raise out of all these coaching jobs coming open too. So
hell yeah!
Mike Norvell is winning big. He got the Jamari Howard. I think we announced that on your show last year when he got the last weekend. He got the kid out of South Florida, the cornerback, and then obviously beat Miami. And then there's a ton of news going on with who they might get to flip in recruiting. So
listen, we'll get to that.
He keeps on winning.
And I was going to ask you too, in the context of that Miami game, the one thing that kind of scared me a little bit was, I guess, the play up front on offense. It felt like, and I know Miami's got some guys on their defensive line that are really good, and we kind of talked about that going in. But how did you kind of feel that offensive line held up? Because from my vantage point, it looked like they got worked a little bit there, especially in the middle part of that game.
They're really good in pass protection. They're really not good at running the ball. I mean, they struggled all year, particularly against good defenses to run the ball. They're not. I don't think this offensive line is as good as we thought it was coming into the year. I think they have not met expectations. Why? I don't know. I mean, I think they're physically. You would think that Roddick is a wash athletically to Gibbons, but maybe we undersold Gibbons as an athlete. Because they are late sometimes when the guards are at getting out in space on screens, and we've seen some things there. But quite frankly, I don't think this offensive line is played as good as we thought it was. I think it's one of the deficiencies of this football team. And listen, if they're going to go to Florida's defensive line is good when they want to be. They've got a defense. They just don't. Florida doesn't play very hard at times, and but they've got some cats on there. At number 7 for Florida, if he decided he wanted to be a player, he could be a player. I mean, but anyway. My point is they've got some tougher defensive lines coming up, especially if they get into the playoffs, and they saw against Miami. And Miami's got a really good one. But that kind of played out the way I thought it would. I did not think Florida State I thought if they possessed the ball and sustained drives, they might be able to figure out a way to run the ball against Miami, because Miami has very little depth on the defensive line and at safety. So I thought maybe they could wear them down that way. They did stay. I think it was exactly a 50-50 split. I think there were 31 pass plays, 31 run plays. But outside of that 38-yard run. There was no sustainable run game for Florida State, and I think against tougher, we saw it. They struggled against Pitt. Now, listen, I've wrote about this in Takeaway Tuesdays. I'm not sure they'd win that ball game if they don't have Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson.
Exactly.
So it's probably a good thing that Mike kept those two guys off the field against Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I think they are who they are at this point, and I don't think we're going to see massive improvement. I think that Florida State they've got named to the Joe Moore Award semifinalist list.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Listen, if you dig, I started digging through that number. They are at the back end of those 12 statistically in almost every category. So I think they are who they are. I think Florida State. Listen, here's what, and anybody that worries, go back to 2021, and the offensive line was still a shambles.
Yeah.
And Mike finds a way to work around that with motion and RPO action and play action. And so, doing some things formationally where he spreads them out and creates some holes. And then if you need to, obviously, Jordan creates that extra gap. Obviously, he didn't run the ball as much as I thought he would against Miami. I thought they probably I think he had 8 runs, but not all of those were runs. 2 of those were huge sacks for 30 yards of losses. But anyway, listen, I just think they are who they are, Nick. I think that's, their strength is pass blocking, and where they're deficient is run blocking.
Well, I got some good news for you, Pat. You get a short segment today because we have a Hall of Famer waiting on the line. Ronnie Barber's going to join us and talk some Bucs. So we will get with you early next week. I would like to do maybe get a bonus on Monday, and we'll talk a little bit more about what happened this weekend in recruiting. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All right. The Osceola is where to tell everybody where they can get your great content.
Yeah, go
on the
to
recruiting front.
theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. And we've got a story on Armando Blunt, who reaffirmed his commitment to Florida State over the weekend. So there's some rumors that he might be heading to or recommitting to Miami, but he put that to bed. And then, of course, we got some couple 4-stars that have talked to us about their visit this weekend. So go to theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it, buddy.
Guys. Take
we'll
care.
hit you up next week for the big Florida State game.
Sounds
all right,
good.
quick break. And the Hall of Famer Ronnie Barber is going to join us next. We're going to get him on the phone, and we'll talk some Buccaneers and who knows what else. So stay with us. Quick break here. Rondé coming up next.
Coins sitting around the house. Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them
to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on this Friday. And we are so pleased to be joined by my friend and Pro Football Hall of Famer and all-around great dude, the great Rondé Barber. What's up, Rondé? How are you?
What's up, brother? Happy Thanksgiving early.
God, it is. Wow, is it Thanksgiving already? Jeez. I know I was just talking to Shay last night, and she's coming in to town, my lovely daughter from LA, and I can't wait. We're going to make the lasagna and the meatballs because that's what we do for Thanksgiving. Much better than turkey.
Nice.
But happy Thanksgiving to you. Will the girls be home for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we'll be home, and then we're going to Virginia Tech game.
Nice.
You know, the RB20 tour never stops, bro.
I was just going to say that. Well, we haven't really talked to you. I don't know if we've talked to you since the actual Hall of Fame on the air. And again, just a humongous thanks for including me and my son, Cullen, who I was with this weekend at the FSU game. Literally one of the highlights of my life, seeing you up there and getting to chat with you afterwards. And I mean, as you reflect back, it has been the RB tour. I mean, what has it been like the past 4 or 5 months just since the gold jacket came on?
It's been a lot of travel for sure. Asked to do this, asked to do that. I'm going to Charlottesville actually to be recognized in front of the home crowd there for our last game against Tech.
Nice.
But it's a lot of that, man. But it's been fun. It's been enjoyable. It's tiring. But at the same time, I got a year of this. The new class will be announced in 2 months, and then they'll no longer care about us. But,
I don't know about that.
Right. I don't mind being tired. I'm not complaining about it. That's my story.
Do you have a favorite memory from the weekend? The party with CeeLo and everybody showing up. Yeah. It just was amazing.
Yeah, the party was out of control. For what that which I remember was out of control. It was fun. It was good being with my daughter. My youngest daughter had a bunch of her college friends there, and they were reveling, right? Is that the word?
Yes,
up with CeeLo and whatnot. And,
on the stage, it was so fun to watch.
Right. Being able to share that with them was probably the best part. But, 450 people, man. It's hard to believe that I know 450 people, but we have a bunch of separate groups and bring them all together for one cause. It was pretty awesome, man.
Well, it was fun to watch you revel in all that and everybody that was there. It was amazing. So, and as you move forward and as your job as a Bucs analyst, you got some play because of course, right. If you call anybody out these days, but and Carlton Davis for one was like, he's right. Ronnie's right. We're not playing very well, but then they come back the next week and put together their best game of the year, which I thought was fantastic. And maybe it was just what you said and maybe a little bit of motivation, but whatever, they righted the wrongs. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far this year?
They've been up and down on defense for sure. They've had their moments. And when you're losing, some of those moments get overemphasized, right? And so when what you're talking about was I was on 33rd team, which is an entity I do some work with. And, we were watching all the afternoon games. And of course, that game was wild. Take the lead at the end and then give up a, 40-second touchdown to a rookie. And they looked bad. It looked bad. And so it was a natural reaction. So, but to your point, the next week you come back and play another rookie, Will Levis, and they get after their ass. They look like the team that, you expect their defense to look like. And I broke them down for the Bucs website, and they played a lot of cover one. They blitzed 5 and 6 guys a lot of time. And it's kind of what they're good at. We got big corners. We got linebackers that are better hugged up on defenders. I think they're comfortable doing that, playing in zone and space. And, you got to be very specific to be able to play like that. And I think it showed in Houston, we're better at some other things. And they got back to that. You could tell they simplified and just said, hey, we're going to go play fast, stop thinking so much, and go beat the hell out of somebody. And that's exactly what they did.
We can't hear you. Nick's trying to ask you a question.
Oh, sorry, I was muted there.
Himself.
I was muted for a second.
You made him nervous, Ronnie.
Oh, come on. But I was actually going to ask about that. We hear so much about, this team is so much better playing man than they are at zone. I mean, as a corner, like, is the mindset like different when you kind of change those formations? And also, like, if you're better playing in man than you are in zone, admittedly, as a team, can you play a whole game that way, or is it still necessary that you need to give different looks?
Yeah, you got to give different looks. You don't want to major in man-to-man all day long. That's just asking the quarterback to have easy throws, because all he has to do is pick one guy he thinks his best player is better than and just put the ball up to him, and then it's 50-50 balls all day. You can't do that. Like, when I was playing, I couldn't have majored in man-to-man. You guys know that. I wasn't big enough. Couldn't run as well as I wanted to at the end of my career. But we had really good zone players, guys with great eyes, great concept understanding, route recognition. We could do that because that's what we did. We were simple. In today's NFL, it's all about disguising movement, post and pre-snap movement, and you have to incorporate that. But there comes a time when what your guys do best, and you have to make a play, let them do what they do best. You know what I mean? You just noticed in that game, we had 10 pressures or 10 tackles for loss in that game. We had 13 quarterback pressures last week. Especially when you have a young quarterback and you're giving him looks where he can't find an easy throw. And you got, Kalijah Cansey and Shaq Barrett and Yaya Diaby, winning right away at the line of scrimmage. He can't get rid of the football. You're going to hit the quarterback a bunch. Now, does that happen every week with a veteran quarterback? No. But in situations like they had last week in a must-win game, they need to be able to do that. It'll be interesting to see how it translates into this game this week against the 49ers, because we all know that they're unique on offense, and you can't just it's one of the few, I think, at least in the NFL, you can't just eliminate guys. You can't say, hey, Carlton, hey, Jamel, go cover that dude up, and we're not giving him the ball. They do so much pre and post snap motion. It's unbelievable trying to stop them. So it's good to get off that 4-game losing streak. This will be Todd and his staff's best coaching job. They have to have their best coaching job, I think, this week.
Yeah, and there's got to be a struggle for coaches between, I want to obviously hide my weaknesses, but I also want to play to my strengths. And I think this is something that Todd, maybe as a head coach, didn't do as well as he did as a defensive coordinator, because it's a different mindset, right? As a head coach,
totally.
You're responsible for everything. Maybe as a defensive coordinator, you can be a little bit more daring and what have you, because that's what you do. But sometimes I feel like he tries to hide the weaknesses and doesn't play to his strengths. And I think that over the last 2 weeks, that's what we saw, the difference in the two. But as you said, this week against the 49ers, they're the most, for me, them and Philadelphia are the most physical teams in football, and that still wins. That still wins and may always win in this game, right?
Let's say it takes 3 things. I was just telling some of my buddies this the other day. It takes 3 things to play good defense. One is leverage, the other is technique, and the third is effort. So if you watch San Francisco play on defense, and I think they're more physical on defense than they are on offense, even though they got a physical front on offense too. But watch how they leverage the football, and watch how effort is never coached for them. They play so fast, man. It's unbelievable watching them play. But to your point, if you can't win the physical battle against these two teams, you're not going to win. I mean, the quarterback's young, right? He's very good timing throws. He's very good in misdirection. That's what Kyle Shanahan majors in. But you have to be able to play physical against them. So he gets rattled. So he makes mistakes, because he's shown that he can do that. If they're going to win that game, they're going to have to make him make mistakes. That's bottom line.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for the Bucs. But even if they lose this and they're at 4-6, they've got so many winnable games ahead. But in the NFL, a lot of those are going to be 50-50 games, and they're going to have to win the majority of them. Do you see them moving forward with what we saw? Because what we saw last week. To me, is kind of the blueprint for the rest of the season. But I would like to see, you get 2 scores up, don't put it in the deep freeze. You're not going to win every game 20-6. So you got to let the offense keep cooking. And I think Todd sometimes pulls back when he gets a 2-score lead. So I think that defensively they've found something, but offensively they got to let it rip a little bit more, especially even when they have a 2-score lead. Is that fair to say?
I want to see Mike Evans get 10 targets a game.
Yes,
Let's just start there.
Yes.
no matter what the situation looks like, he needs 10 targets a game. I think we're our best version of our offense, regardless who's calling plays or who's throwing the football to him when Mike gets targeted, because he's a problem. As a DB, a guy that had to cover guys like that, he's a problem. He's bigger than you think he is. He's faster than you think he is, and he makes great adjustments on the football. And then that makes it easier for everybody else. I think BA really understood that. I think Byron really understood that. I think Dave is starting to understand that. When Mike gets to line up and they want to, either roll the coverage away from him or think that whatever corner they have on the other side can man him up or play him single high by himself, throw the ball to him. Yeah. He's likely going to win. He's likely going to win. Then you get Chris going, and then you get your rookies going at wide receiver. And then it gives you space to use Rachaad White, either in a running game or in a screen game. And it was a perfectly timed screen the other day. They tried to blitz them, the touchdown. They tried to blitz them because there was some momentum building, and Baker got the ball out with like a second before he got annihilated. And there's nobody else out there. Like they're trying to cover up their other aspects of the offense, and Rachaad White cruises into the end zone. I thought it was a great game plan last week, and just they have to find a way to replicate. It's a tough defense, especially a linebacker. San Francisco, they might have the 2 best in the league as a tandem. So should be fun. Should be fun to watch. And regardless of what happens, I think this team is starting to figure themselves out. The NFC South is what it is. I like their chances as good as anybody.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you look at the running game, by the way, and we mentioned Rachaad White. I mean, they get him involved as a pass catcher, and he looks like a completely different guy. But in the running game, do you think he's leaving some plays out there, like missing holes on his own, or is it more of as simple as the guys in front of him just got to block better in some of these situations?
Well, it's both. I would say it's both. Those interior guys have to be good, in order to run that duo scheme or that mid-zone scheme. I think we're sometimes a little bit better in gap run football, like when you have pullers, power, counter, misdirection type things, because it gets those guys, gets guards and tackles on the move and puts them out in front. And kind of to win in zone schemes. In zone schemes, you got to overpower people at the last scrimmage. We have a young rookie guard. We have Robert Hainsey at center, who is he's
undersized.
Going to be a good player, but he's undersized, right? And you have a left guard with Filer, and now it's Finney. They're not grinders, they're not going to grind out 300-pound defensive tackles and move them. So it's a little bit of both, but the reality is you have to turn around and hand the ball off. You just have to. You can't get into a 40 pass a game, make Baker a drop back guy. We're not built like that. This offense is absolutely not built like that. If you watch it in the preseason, it's built on the illusion of making things look the same, play action, coming off run game, and you just don't change that midstream. So it's just got to find a way to be effective. And the runs that work, they work, and if they don't, find a way to counter off of them. So we're getting there. It's gotten a little bit better week in and week out. It's not to be confused with one of the great running games in the NFL by any means.
Hey, I want to thank you so much for your time, but I got to get you to talk about a couple of guys that I just love. and that's Kalijah Kancey and Yaya Diaby. I think those two guys have a chance to be really, really good players in this league, and we're just starting to sniff it. And it's a reason I think this team can make a run in the second half. What do you think about those two guys?
Well, they're the future, right? And they're young, and I'm starting to expect them to make plays. And I know that they're only halfway through their rookie season. And Kalijah obviously missed so much time at the beginning. But I have, when I'm grading the film, not grading, but when I'm watching the film, I'm grading it in my head. I see so many wow plays that probably get unnoticed from 94. Whether it's, how we shed the block or how we, applying immediate pressure. He's going to be special. I mean, I play with a special guy. Obviously, it's a position Warren. I'm not saying he's Warren, but he has that kind of quickness and that short space power production to move bigger guys. It's pretty impressive. Now the Yaya, he's just getting more and more opportunities, but the manner in which he plays the game, not how he plays, but the manner in which he plays it, like physical. Aggressive, like you can tell that he has something different about him. We haven't seen a guy like him on our team in a while. So just pay attention. Zero's going to get more and more play because he's started to produce. And then I think the sky's the limit for 94, man. He's going to be one heck of a player. So if you know football, JP, you can tell when guys are different, and those two guys are different.
Anybody else catching your eye in that way?
Well, Levante, 33 years old.
Holy hell, is he playing great? My God, so good. Like, how? I mean, he ain't tailing off. Give him a 3-year deal. He plays above the neck, but he's still playing so fast. Most guys at that position, as they get a little older, you see this they slow down. They get bigger. The bodies change. He looks the same as he did 12 years ago when I played with him. And it's amazing how impactful he still is. Catch my eye. I mean, there's a few. I mean, 31. He's always around the ball. You know that. He's unbelievable. Plays. I mean, the film literally looks sped up when he's running on film. He's moving faster than everybody else. He always does. Shaq looks like he's getting back to himself. Last couple weeks, got some pop.
Right. He's got pop. I mean, Shaq's never been the biggest guy, but when you see him transferring speed to power, he's back. And I think that's just a function of him starting to trust that Achilles is good and he's ready to go. But yeah, they're playing some young guys, man, and it happens to show. Like Zion, he's got a lot of talent, man. But he's got to figure out above the neck. These little things. Same could be said with Christian Izzy. Extremely talented, plays fast, but sometimes you just got to do your job, man. Just do your job, and then the rest will come. But it's like I said, it's mid-season. You kind of are what you are at this point, right? You're not going to change a bunch. You're going to hope guys get better in the next month or so, and then you see where your chips lay, and hopefully they're able to make a run. I mean, I think their only way to the playoffs is to win the division. So,
of course, yeah.
That's right. That's where you got to focus.
Hey, all right, before you go, give us some Valspar Championship. We're getting into Christmas time. It's time to sell some tickets. How's everything going on out there?
Yeah, the tickets go on sale at the end of the month. It's actually just with our 2023 champion, Taylor Moore in Edmond, Oklahoma. If you've never been there, there's a lot of good golf there. I did not play because it's cold, but we went to this muni course in Edmond, Oklahoma called Kicking Tree. And it's where he grew up playing golf, and we dedicated a mural. We dedicated a mural to all of our champions. 2 years ago, we went to Ruston, Louisiana, another middle of nowhere place, to put up a mural for Sam Burns. And I was just there yesterday. We recorded a little video about ticket sales, he and I, which will be posted on social here at some point. Nice. But yeah, it's we're 4 months away, about 4 months away from tournament time, March 18th to 24th. Obviously, we don't have any idea what the field's going through. The PGA Tour continues to be a challenge, shall I say?
Yeah, ever-changing landscape. Yes.
Right.
I have no idea what they're doing.
But we have a lot of new concepts. We got new hospitality. We're introducing a Copperhead Club, which is hospitality on 18th Green, but exclusive access to the newly renovated clubhouse over there at Packers at Innisbrook. So there's a lot going on. We're excited. Sales should be picking up. We're probably tracking a little bit higher than we were last year at this point, but we just need people to come out and play, or come out and watch the guys play. It's a great event, as you know, most colorful event on the PGA Tour.
It's fantastic. It is a great party. Who we got for Saturday night this year? We got
Cole Swindell.
Yes.
Cole Swindell.
Yes.
Yeah. Cole Swindell.
It's going to be.
I can't wait either, man.
All right, partner. When you give it a GM? When do you get back into football?
I'm not in that world right now. Yeah, I'm not in that realm right now, dude. Are you kidding me? I got kids in school. I got
not forever
responsibility.
I know.
Although the way it feels, school feels like it lasts forever, especially when you're paying full freight at University of Chicago.
Oh, I got one at Belmont, bro.
Right, I know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. No, do you look at Lynch and go? And I know you guys talk all the time and go, you can do that. You can do that.
Right.
And is he loving it? Is it too much? I mean,
I would say Lynch fell into a very unique situation in that he had considered it for sure, because before he left Fox as an analyst, he was doing stuff with John Elway in Denver. And so it had piqued his interest. Like, he was involved, and it piqued his interest. Okay. He did that game with Atlanta before they went to the Super Bowl, and he had a conversation with Kyle, and Kyle was looking for a guy just like John, somebody unconventional. It was like a perfect storm for all of them. Now he still had to decide to do it. I mean, he had to run it by his wife. Hey, do you want me to, be gone again all the time? And she's like, John, I could kill you, but if it's what you want to do it. And I think he had a vision. He knew he knew how he wanted to build a team, and obviously that vision's come to fruition. I mean, very specific how San Francisco has built their team for a reason, and they have a great combination of head coach and general manager that are looking at the same thing and want the same type of players. So it's no secret why they've been a success. And I would just say it's a very unique situation. It doesn't happen like that very often.
Gotcha. Understood. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, and I'll see you around the golf course soon, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. Be good. I'll talk to you.
Thanks. The great Rondé Barber right there. I think that was a no, Nick. I think that was a no. He's not going to be a GM.
I mean, there's been a lot of Bucs fans who have been talking about Rondé as, in the event that Jason doesn't get the opportunity to come back and hire another head coach and you blow it up completely. A lot of people have been like, man, why don't you put Rondé in that spot? I've heard a lot of Bucs fans kind of theorize that. But that's a commitment. That's a big commitment.
It's Rondé loves what he does in golf, and it's and he knows also with the competitive fire that he has that it would consume him. It would consume him. So you have to be careful of that. You got to save yourself from yourself, And he knows that he would just be all in, and the hours would be long, and he has a great life. He lives a great life, and he would never have been able to experience what he experienced, and it continues to, going to Charlottesville this week. Every weekend he's being honored. Was honored in his high school and all these other places.
And I was going to say, I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like I've heard him talk about this before. Like what he does with the Valspar, to me, he seems like, you saw how giddy he got when you asked him about the Valspar. Like, I feel like he really, I feel like, what's that noise there? Sorry. But yeah, I really feel like he gets into that every single year. And if you're a GM, probably can't do that then.
No, he wouldn't be able to do his Valspar things. There's a season for everything, right? And when his girls maybe are done in school, and because he spends so much time with them, and then Valspar maybe has run its course or whatever, if it ever will, because Valspar had to amend their bylaws to allow the chairman to do more than I think 2 or 3 years. And of course, why would you not want him in that position forever? And they would. But it'll, everything has its season, and there's no question in my mind that Rondé would be a tremendous general manager. And I think the game has changed in that way because the GM is now such a public person. There were days, back 20 years ago, most people didn't even know who the GM of the team was. And now this is a huge, talent acquisition, you could argue, is as important in today's NFL as anything, as coaching, as anything. I mean, you need the players. You got to have the horses to do this. And his eye for talent. And then you're setting, that person is also setting the culture, right?
Right.
Who better to set a culture than just like John Lynch, a Super Bowl, 2-time Super Bowl winner, multiple Pro Football Hall of Famer. He walks out on that field. It's just not some, pencil pusher who was a scout that worked his way up. And I'm not saying that's what Jason Light is, but there are a lot. That's what GMs used to be. They were, old scouts that were friends of the owner that just rose up through the ranks and became, general managers. To me, this game now is about a little bit more than that. And I think you need guys who have been there, know about team building, know what it takes to win, obviously are intelligent enough to be able to know the landscape of the game and emotionally intelligent enough to know which players will fit in your scheme and in your culture. And again, who better than Rondé or John Lynch to be doing that, or Derek Brooks? These are guys that have built it, have done it, and know what it takes. So
I mean, it's better than going down the route of getting a guy like Mike Mayock, for example. Like, I'm all for going, unconventional sometimes, but we saw how even that one worked.
Yeah,
go with the former player over the guy who talks about it on TV, I guess. But
I think Matt Millen, as great a broadcaster as he was, kind of ruined it because he was, he's a terrible GM. It just didn't work out, and I think they kind of scared everybody. I'm like, well, it didn't work out for him. Doesn't mean it's not something that these former players can do. I'm not saying every former player can do this. Don't get me wrong. It takes a special person. And I think, Lynch and Rondé, Derek, people I know personally certainly have the mettle to do so. Shelton Quarles is another one who's been involved with the Bucs system for a long, long time.
He's still in the office?
Yeah, absolutely. Still directing pro personnel. And he's, brilliant guy, well-respected, Super Bowl ring, the whole nine. I think he would make a hell of a GM, whether here or anywhere else. And I'm not trying to push Jason Light out. It's not what I'm trying to do. But just talking about the future of this team. And Jason's in a position where he may move upstairs to be president of football operations and bring somebody else in underneath him to do more of the legwork of the GM job. And I think he's earned that. I
think with Jason, like, I'm never going to push that guy out the door or anything that.
Hell no.
I'm just mainly having a discussion because I think it's fair that if this thing, goes into a tailspin at the second half of the year and you lose some of these winnable games and Todd has to fall on the sword, there's just not many examples of GMs who get an opportunity to hire 5 head coaches. It's just the reality of the league. And even the fact that he's been here for 10 years, he's already outlasted what the usual shelf life is.
Yeah.
Or a GM in most cases. And so you just wonder, you want to always keep things fresh. Things change all the time. Right? And you don't want to
energy can be good. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it. I'm not trying to push Jason out the door. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's something in the back of my mind. And you have to be forward thinking of how you would end up going in a different direction if you have to.
Yeah, if this goes south and they don't win the division, which is extremely possible, I think you do you're going to need to make a fresh start. And let's just be honest, it's not like Jason Light went out and did a full coaching search to come up with Todd Bowles. We all know that didn't happen.
Correct.
We all know how that happened. And it's not to say that Todd's not the guy or shouldn't be the guy or shouldn't have been the guy. It's just to say, what are the results?
And actually, I want to get it right, too. Because I think I might be off, actually. Because if I'm correct, my timeline, when Lovey came in, Jason Light came after him, correct? I think it was that way, right? I believe Lovey came in first and then Jason. So I'm not even sure if Jason hired Lovey.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'd have to go back and check my timeline.
So maybe it's not even – maybe you can make the case he's only actually hired Dirk Cutter and BA. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd have to check my timeline on that for sure. I got to check that. All right, we need one more break, I believe. I want to get into this St. Pete Braves.
Well, we've taken all of our breaks today. So
okay.
We can, if you want to keep just firing forward the Rays, we can do that.
All right, so I have not got a chance to read the whole Rick Baker article. You did, and I believe there's actually 2 that have been written. And I just look. There are a lot of good people at the Times, and I'm not impugning any of the writers over there. I disagree with some things that they write and how they approach it, especially from the Rays side. And I just, they just continue to ignore a lot of pertinent information. And, to put St. Petersburg on the team would be the dumbest effing thing ever. And it seems like if you're penning 2 of these articles at one particular time, that seems interesting as you try to get the money passed. I think it's, I'm on record as saying, I think it's a ridiculous expenditure of public funds in a failed location. And I think it's the stupidest thing St. Pete could ever do. And it seems a bit of an ego piece in my estimation. It doesn't make any financial or business sense whatsoever. That said, why would you be putting St. Petersburg and alienating all the Hillsborough County fans? I've never been a part of this provincial St. Pete versus Tampa. I'm for unity in the community. I came here 27 years ago, growing up in South Florida. I didn't grow up with this, the Bay divides us, St. Pete versus Tampa mentality. I just don't buy into it. But I know a lot of people do. And if you do that, if you think putting St. Petersburg across the chest of the Rays is a positive thing for bringing unity to the community and will somehow bring out the people of St. Pete to fill your stadium, you're out of your freaking mind.
Well, I'll read you respect. I'll read you one of his quotes here in the article of why he believes this should happen. He said, if the St. Petersburg City Council provides very valuable land and adds this significant financial burden to future city taxpayers, please at least have the gumption to require that the team be called the St. Petersburg Rays. And he kind of uses the argument that if they're putting up, 1 point whatever billion it is, 1.29 billion they're contributing, then they should get it there. And if it's built in Tampa, then they can call it Tampa or they can call it Tampa Bay or whatever. But he seems to think that because if they get it and they're putting all this money out there and the burden, as he said, they should just be called the St. Petersburg Rays.
And that accomplishes what? I would say.
Tell me.
Mayor Baker. We'll try to get him on the show. What does that accomplish? So you're buying the name? Are you now the corporate sponsor?
And he says it's like named after, like he says here, it's a significant cultural, St. Petersburg, significant cultural, business, technology, educational, tourism, financial center. Simply not appropriate to ask our citizens to pay hundreds of millions of their tax dollars to build a stadium for a baseball team named after another city. If the Rays and or MLB have so little respect for our city, they refuse to name the team St. Petersburg. Perhaps they should find another place to play.
Yeah, they should find another place to play. That's the whole point.
But the whole thing is like Tampa Bay is not calling it Tampa. Like we've had this discussion. You get angry when you watch Lightning games on national TV and they call them Tampa.
Yeah,
because they're not. We're Tampa Bay. We're unified like that. Yes. So like it's not named after Tampa, it's Tampa Bay. That's encompassing, like I said, everything in this region. We are a regional team, the same way that the Patriots are not the Boston Patriots or whatever. They're the New England Patriots. They are the region's team. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah. And again, I asked, what are you accomplishing by this besides pissing off the people on Hillsborough County?
It's just
useless.
Think you are, it's useless.
I've got 6 text messages when this was just floated for people saying, no, I'm done. I'm done. I've been a season ticket holder forever, and I'm done if they call him St. Pete. And so what are you accomplishing? I mean, so you're spending the money, so you should put the name on it. First of all, you're spending why don't you address Mayor Baker if this is a good expenditure of funds? Because if you're saying you put St. Pete, does that mean you're going to rally the troops in St. Pete to fill the stadium like they've never done? I'm sorry, Mayor. They're not come. First of all, you don't have the numbers to fill the stadium. And you don't have the emotional attachment clearly because it hasn't happened in 25 years. I would think you would be smart enough to say this is a ridiculous expenditure of money in a failed location. I mean, I've never lived in St. Pete. I've worked in St. Pete. Have lived in St. Pete for a few months. But I worked at Channel 44. My first job was in St. Petersburg. I worked at 1010 Sports. I came to St. Petersburg all the time. So I've worked a good part of my career in St. Petersburg. I don't see it as two separate cities. I just see it as Tampa Bay. And I don't get this mentality. I just don't. And it's silly. And just because
it's so stupid to divide a fan base like that is trying to create their own, like it's one, at the end of the day, it's one of the youngest franchises in sports and certainly in MLB. And we have a lot of transplants in this area. We have Yankees fans, we have Red Sox fans, we have Cardinals fans, we have a lot of other people's fans here. And this is like, now we're 25 years in, this is the first time we're finally seeing people that were born Rays fans are now becoming older, like people like me. And then they're going to have children soon. And those people are going to be born Rays fans, you agree. Like, this is what we're doing. We're building that fan base to, like, kind of override the fact that we have other teams here.
Right.
So that's what you should be focusing on, not dividing it in half like that.
And again, so you pay $1.2 billion, so we deserve to have our name on it. Because that's all you're going to get for $1.2 billion. Are you going to get it? Will it become a financial center where people 24/7, 365 come to there because you build a stadium there? I hope so, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Is attendance going to increase because you're spending the money and it's still in the same location? Not significantly, in my opinion. Because it's a new stadium, it will for the first couple of years, but it's just going to go back to the same old problem that you don't have 1.5 million people within a 30-minute drive, and that's not going to change. And
right.
The reason, why don't you make the case that the expenditure is worth the money, like that it's going to bring more money in from outside, not from the people that are going to be here and just take the money from Newport Richey to or Clearwater Beach to downtown, because that doesn't help the coffers of Pinellas. If you're going to spend $1.2 billion of public money, wouldn't it be better to build a cruise port where these huge ships that can't get under the skyway can come and dock, and that'll bring more heads and beds? Wouldn't it be better to build a conference center, a world-class convention center on that ground, or other affordable housing that really is going to benefit the city of St. Petersburg? Mayor, I would think you'd want to make that argument and make the argument that this expenditure is worth the money. Not, well, we get St. Petersburg on the jersey. That's worth $1.2 billion of public money, is it? Okay, if that's what you feel is going to be worth, and what's that going to bring you? More people coming to St. Petersburg because they're now the St. Pete Rays? It's dysfunctional, and it's dysfunctional for a reason, because it doesn't work. The location doesn't work. And putting St. Pete on it just drives you backwards and divides you more, as my friend Nick just said.
Well, speaking of dysfunction, you want to hear a little interesting twist in the biggest story in college football?
Yes.
It just came down the pike about half hour ago. Michigan has fired their linebackers coach, Chris Partridge, effective immediately today. Now, JP, I don't know about you. You ever heard of the best defense in college football that's 10-0, firing any position coaches?
No.
10 games into a season?
Never happened.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
It's pretty interesting.
It's also interesting that this whole thing started with, we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And then it turned into, okay, we'll have the investigation, to, okay, we're going to fight Harbaugh's suspension, to, oh, no, we'll just accept it, to now we fired our linebacker coach. Pretty
Sounds
interesting,
like they found
isn't
something else, doesn't it?
It does.
And does the word scapegoat come to mind?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this thing reeks, and suddenly Harbaugh is going to fight everything and going to get a temporary restraining order, and then nope, we're going to accept everything, and now we're firing our linebackers coach. Smells like there might be a little bit of something more there than maybe is out on the surface. Yeah, it does, and it's very curious that he just surrendered like that.
Yeah,
and because that's not Jim Harbaugh's way. Somebody came to him and said, all right, here's what we're going to do. You're going to sit down. You're going to remain as the head coach, or if you don't accept the suspension, you're not going to be the head coach anymore. That's the only way that Jim Harbaugh would have accepted that, to me.
I mean, you think Jim Harbaugh willingly just wanted to accept, all right, I won't coach against Ohio State, fine.
No.
I don't know. It's starting to, now that we're starting to get the facts of this case and the investigation's over, and then you see something like this, you can kind of, again, I've been trying to wait to put judgment on it, but it's starting to reek a little bit.
I'd like to get more information, but I think we have enough information. And it's sad for the players. I really feel sad for them, the fan base, and but this is what happens when, you have a guy at the top that I think is a little wonky, man. I think the dude's a little wacky, and I don't know how this went off the tracks, but if you're going to sit there and tell me that Jim Harbaugh didn't know any of this stuff was going on, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that for one freaking second. Not one freaking second. Not that. No, that guy knows exactly what's going on in this program. All right. Big thanks to Rondé Barber for joining us here. That was a lot of fun. Pat Burnham as well. Trevor Sikkema, great show today. Great job, Nick Geddes. We do it every Monday through Friday, folks, 10 to 12, 2 hours of Tampa Bay sports-centric talk. You can always catch it on a podcast if you don't catch it live on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, fanstreamsports.com, and download our app.
And a reminder, tonight, we got the time correct, 9 o'clock, ESPN 2, USF at UTSA, with a chance to clinch bowl eligibility.
Yes, with their coach flirting with Texas A&M. So go Bulls. Go Bolts this weekend. Go Bucs. We'll be back on Monday with more fun and frivolity to wrap it all up for you. Have a great weekend, everybody.